Greetings and welcome to the 80th, can you believe it? 80th episode of the Intermission Show at SLO REP. It is Friday, March 12th, 2021, and we have an absolutely tripper adoring, Roper is boring, Larry deploring show for you today. Like every single thing we do within these four walls at SLO REP, this show would not be possible without the support of several generous sponsors who've been tuning into the show once, or twice, or three times a week since we started the show back in April.
Through the years, you've never let me down. You've turned my life around.
We're going to check in again with Michael BRUSASCO and Melinda PARRETT as they turn up the heat on part 2 of the SLO REP Hot Ones Challenge. And yes, sir, Robert, it is our favorite day of the week. It is Friday. Which means it's time to beam KERRY DIMAGGIO magically into the show to introduce some remarkable young students and to give out next week's assignment. And once again, our crack investigative team will scour the internet to find you the best virtual and online performances you can stream this week to get your theater fix. And finally, we will turn the SLO REP spotlight toward another amazing BIPOC playwright as we look at August Wilson's 1987 masterpiece, Fences. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so happy that you're here. All right, campers, we have a jam-packed show, so let's hop right to it. All right, let's see how Michael and Melinda are doing as they move on to hot sauce number 2. It is time for the SLO REP Hot Ones Challenge.
You feel it, right? Yeah, it's
That's
a
nice.
good feel.
It's sitting
Yeah.
high.
Because of this Tapatio.
Classic.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Mmm.
That's on a breakfast burrito?
Mmm.
Oh no, that's hotter. That's warmer.
I think you're still feeling the...
Mm-mm.
I feel fine.
There's different categories of worst because some of my best jobs have been my worst jobs. Like, most recently, I worked at a pet emergency hospital. And like on the one hand, it was the most incredible experience. But then there were some of the worst yelling matches between clients and like the vet. Like and I worked the swing shift, so I worked late into the night. And so it'd be like a yelling match at like 11:45 at night about, some crazy thing. And it was just, I just remember coming home just thinking like, what the hell am I doing with my life? It was terrible.
I at one point demonstrated karaoke.
What?
I demonstrated karaoke at an electronics store. When karaoke was first becoming a thing in the United States and people wanted machines in their homes, I would go up on this big stage in the middle of an electronics store and I would go and demonstrate karaoke, which, I mean, I love to sing and I love going to karaoke in bars and everything, but going on a stage in the middle of an electronics store when everyone is just like 22.
Oh, okay.
It was before I went to PCPA actually, but it was I was like, what can I do? Well, I can sing. I guess I'll demonstrate karaoke. But it was terrible. It was...
Were you ever heckled? Or were you
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Play Freebird!
Number one.
Okay.
Number one.
Thank you so much, Michael and Melinda. We will check in with you next week when once again the temperature will be raised and inhibitions will be lowered. All right, everybody, it is our favorite day of the week. It is Friday.
Oh yeah, throw your neighborhood in the air. If you don't care, oh yeah, throw your neighborhood.
Which means it's time to beam KERRY DIMAGGIO into the building to introduce some remarkable young artists and to give out next week's assignment. It is time for our ACT Spotlight.
Hello everyone! Happy Friday and welcome back to ACT Spotlight. Last week I asked students to write and perform their very own monologue, a challenge that we did way back at the beginning of the intermission show but hadn't yet revisited. Take a look.
I have been up all night, tossing and turning, pondering, wondering, waiting for the right words to come to me. During the day, I would research, interview people for ideas, stretch my brain left and right without a clue of what to say. And as I sat there, thinking, waiting, wanting to just give it all up, I had an epiphany. All this time, the words had been on the tip of my tongue. And so, here it goes. Happy 80th episode of the Intermission Show, everybody! Thank you, SLO Rep. We love you. Mwah.
Hello, everyone. It's London. This week, our task was to write and perform a monologue and send it in. Because I am in the playwriting class for ACT at the moment, I thought it would be a really great idea for me to use my first draft of the monologue I'm currently writing for this very task. I hope you guys enjoy. Why was I made this way? Why can't I be someone else? Something else? Couldn't I be a tree, so tall and strong but so dazzling at the same time? Or a river continuously flowing? Perhaps a tulip or a daisy, so seemingly fragile yet inspiring? Couldn't I be a frog or a dragonfly or a bird? To be a bird, so light and free. Why can't I be free like a bird? Why must I be so different? No one understands who I am. Except the trees, of course. And the flowers. They understand too. Even the fish in the river understand, but no one else does. I'm constantly being told to act normal. What wouldn't I give to be normal? Well, I wouldn't give up my family. I wouldn't give up the trees, or the birds, or the sky. I wouldn't give up the clouds or the flowing waters. Perhaps that is why I'm so different after all. If only they could see that too. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all super soon. Bye!
Naya and London, great job. I love your monologues and I love how different they are from each other. Thank you both so much for submitting. All right, moving on to the next challenge. This week we're going to be talking about one of my favorite elements of theater, lighting design. So the lighting design of a show can sometimes be overlooked, but it is just as important to the overall look and feel and success of a production as the other design elements that we've talked about so far on ACT Spotlight. A show's lighting designer will work closely with the director and the other designers to come up with a look or looks that are both functional and artistically compatible with the show. So in addition to serving one of the very basic function of making sure that the audience can see the actors and the stage, visibility, the lighting design of a show can also function as a way to force the audience to look at a particular spot on stage, wherever it is that the director feels that the audience needs to be putting their attention at that moment. This is called selected focus. Stage lights can also be used to model or shape actors or set pieces or props by the angle from which they're shown. So either from the front or the back or the sides or some combination, and they create some really wonderful highlights and shadows on stage that can be very effective. Lighting design is also super essential to creating a mood or an emotional tone on stage. This can be done oftentimes with color, but it can also be achieved through the use of the starkness or softness of a light or the dimness or brightness of lights as well. So I've put together a collection of photographs that demonstrate each of these 4 functions of lighting design. We've got visibility, selected focus, modeling, and mood. I really encourage you to check out these photos. They're absolutely stunning. Some of the designs are small and intimate, and some of them are grand and large scale, and they're just all so beautiful. It's really amazing to me what lighting can do on stage. So also on the ACT Spotlight page is a recap of what those 4 functions of lighting design are, and your challenge this week is to explore and demonstrate them using a flashlight or 2, shining on some kind of small figurine that you find from your house, maybe a Lego piece or something similar. See what kind of lighting looks you can put together and tell us about what they're meant to do on stage. All of the details for this challenge are on the ACT Spotlight page. Send us your video by Thursday at 3 p.m. and I can't wait to see how you light up this challenge.
Thank you so much to Kerry, and remember, young artist, we will need your submissions in our digital hands no later than 3 p.m. on March 18th. That is Thursday, March 18th at 3 p.m. sharp. We love to see your work. So get out there and start creating. All right, it is time to see what's streaming out there in the theater world this week. As always, if you're missing the rehearsal room, you can tune in to the New York Theater Barn's new work show every Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The show is a hoot, and it's free on YouTube. Link is in the description. Also, SLO Rep staff highly recommends Crime of the Century. This free YouTube recording of the original 2009 cast is a hard-hitting, raw piece of theater, which explores the issues surrounding gang violence. Using words and movement alongside a contemporary score of hip-hop and dance music, the performance packs a frightening punch and acts as a positive tool in the fight against the savagery of knife crime. This show is free on YouTube, and you can find it in the link in the description. All right, it is time to highlight some essential BIPOC voices in theater. Today's featured artist is August Wilson. August Wilson, originally named Frederick August Kittle, was born on April 27, 1945 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and died on October 2, 2005 in Seattle, Washington. Wilson was an incredibly important playwright, the author of a cycle of plays, each set in a different decade of the 20th century, about Black American life. Fences was first developed at the Eugene O'Neill Theater Center's 1983 National Playwrights Conference. It premiered at the Yale Repertory Theater in 1985 with James Earl Jones as Troy Maxson. The play's first Broadway production was staged at the 46th Street Theater on March 26, 1987, and closed on June 26, 1988 after 525 performances. The protagonist of Fences is Troy, who had been an outstanding baseball player at a time when the major leagues were closed to black players. He bitterly resents his lost opportunities. An ex-convict as well, Troy is now a garbage collector who struggled to become the city's first black to hold the job. He is married to Rose and is the father of a teenager named Corey. Though he loves his son, he feuds constantly with him and refuses to permit him to accept a football scholarship to college. An emotional, hard-drinking man, Troy ranges from tyrannical fury to delicacy as his preconceived ideas are challenged. You can order a copy of this groundbreaking script at the link in the description. All of us here at SLO Rep encourage our patrons to get to know this amazing play. That'll wrap up today's episode of the Intermission Show at SLO Rep. Thank you so much to Michael BRUSASCO and Melinda PARRETT for the second installment of the SLO Rep Hot Ones Challenge. You have made every single person here at the Intermission Show feel cooler than Lucille Ball doing the Charleston with Ginger Rogers. And as always, thank you to our medical personnel, essential workers, county and city officials, and everyone who is working around the clock to bring this crisis to an end as soon as possible. We cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Hug who you are allowed to hug, and have a great weekend. wear your masks.